My father passed away last week from cancer. By the time they found it, he only had a few weeks to months left. My dad has been raising me since my mom kicked me out at 15 to teach me responsibility and to be grown-up woman. My dad heard and picked me up and I moved in with him. My mom told me all these lies growing up, that my dad didn't love me, didn't want me and never wanted to see me. He tried so hard to see me but my mom had convinced him I didn't want to. She manipulated me and lied to me into thinking my dad had no interest in me once they divorced. I'm now 24, living on my own and doing well. My dad and I got super close in the last, almost, 10 years and he was such a help with all my issues I had growing up. When he passed, he left me with all the money, and most of his stuff, but I have split it between his siblings. Yesterday, my mom came knocking at my door. I have moved states away about 3 years ago and had no contact with her since she abandoned me. I am not sure how she found my address but she was acting like she was so happy to see me. Commented about how good I looked, how nice my apartment is and said how much she missed me. She got upset that I haven't tried contacting her the last 10 years and it hurts that I just would abandon her like that. I just ignored her comment and asked her how she found me and why she was here. She said she found out from my aunt, my dad's little sister, after she had visited her after my dad's passing. She said she went to visit my aunt to see if she could get something my mom had given him when they first got married. She had also asked for my current address to check in on me. Now, I live at least a 12 to 14 hour drive from where I grew up. It's a surprise my mom actually drove all the way here to check up on me but I had this gut feeling that it wasn't a normal checkup. I made lunch for us, things were going normal until my mom brought up my dad. She was saying she was upset she wasn't in the will or if she wasn't contacted for the reading of it. I had explained that she wasn't mentioned but whatever was left in my dad's house she wanted, she could have. We were still in the process of cleaning it out and there is a handful of stuff that no one wants. Mostly furniture but a handful of other items. My mom was upset, mad that she didn't get anything and even more upset that I said she could have the stuff no one else wanted. She should have been one of the first people contacted to clean out his house because I'm his ex-wife. Then my mom asked me the question of what did I get in the will. I didn't lie, I said I got whatever money he had left and saved up and she was annoyed. She said it wasn't fair, since he supposedly never paid child support that he should have given her some of that money. So she began telling me that she needed a few grand from the money I was given for taking care of me. It kind of shocked me that she was saying she wanted me to give her the money my dad owned her for about 15 years. I just stared at her and after I finally registered what she said I told her no. She flipped saying that she is entitled to her money. I'm pretty sure my dad did pay her child support, because we would get a check once a month in the mail from him that my mom would instantly spend on herself. Yes, my mom used the child support money not for me but on herself. I was lucky if she was nice enough to buy me a toy with the money. My mom was going off and I had told her she needed to leave my apartment. She told me that I can't just kick out my guests. I told her my house, my rules and to get out. She's crying, screaming about how dare I disrespect and kick out my dear mother who drove all this way just to see me. If she really wanted to see me she wouldn't have brought up the money. She's been blowing up my phone with texts and calls and I'm at my breaking point. If giving her the money will shut her up and leave me alone for another 10 years then I might just do it. Guys, seriously, help me out. It's honestly driving me to the edge. Everything is always about her. The part that really makes me mad is that she's quite mentally unstable and during my childhood was always either overly protective and loving or an offensive piece of crap, apparently repeating the treatment she suffered at the hands of my ex-hooch dependent grandfather. She didn't need any booze to treat me like crap when she got too stressed out though. I remember being in kindergarten and thinking I was a ducked up kid because she kept telling me all her friends think there's something very wrong with me. All my life I've had to endure insults and being blamed of using her and ruining her life. She'd also pull, shove, hit and kick me until I grew big enough to resist. Now she was a single mother and we did live in borderline poverty for a good chunk of my life while my father was busy being mentally ill, bipolar 1, on a different continent so yay it wasn't easy. Said father also happens to have a decently rich family and their quarterly child support payments were the only thing that kept us above the poverty border, combined with benefits from the state cause my mother never declared those payments from my family. None of that is my fault though. When I was 10 my paternal grandmother, whom I had met 5 years prior and 2 times as an infant, passed away. I was mentioned in her will and inherited property which was sold and the money managed by my father's family until I turned 18. I have since receiving it spent less than 5% of the money because of my history of being a poor kid who doesn't even think to ask for anything, but my mother is still constantly on my case about it. I constantly have to listen to her demand money from me which she deserves for raising me, how it's not my money and I would never have that money if not for her, best logic, how she always put me first so I should be doing the same etc. She's also accused me of not giving her money for having her teeth fixed. When I called her out on it she said she asked me 2 years ago when she made a list of things and I rejected it. Said list also included totally inane things like a quack faith healing workshop costing several hundreds, assorted vacation destinations even though her boyfriend of 3 years takes her on about 10 plus vacations per year etc. She also wanted to buy an extremely run-down bungalow house close to her boyfriend's house, different state from where we live, middle of nowhere too, for 30,000 euros and got incredibly mad at me for not wanting to not pitch in but literally pay all of it. Whenever this topic comes up she also gets really loud and insulting, slams doors and throws/kicks things etc. like a child. She will guilt me over even the tiniest of purchases I make with my money, too. I pay most of the rent despite using only one room while she uses 3 and even paid the whole of it for 8 months in 2013 yet she still accuses of me of not contributing enough to the household. God forbid I forget to take out the trash once. Meanwhile she spends a lot of time at her boyfriend's doing nothing, he pays for all the travel back and forth, and otherwise works as a freelancer with very liberal hours that she basically picks and chooses. Even then she oversleeps and calls in sick quite often so she obviously doesn't earn much money for herself, so it's not like she's busting her A but still poor either. I know it's partly my own fault for not having moved out already but I've had really bad depression and social issues, have for over a decade now. I was first diagnosed at age 11 or 12, multiple therapists changed little about it, so it's easier said than done to just up and move especially in a city with very high demand where one has to fight to get a decent apartment. I'm looking for a place but I'll be stuck here for at least a couple more months and it's honestly miserable. Sorry for the wall and any errors, was kind of mad when I wrote this after another 20-minute yelling tirade over this month's rent. Hey internet people. Long time lurker on this sub, and Reddit in general, first time poster here. English is my first language and I'm on PC, so I don't have any excuses. This is more of an entitled family story but has an EM in here so I thought I'd give it a shot. Little backstory. I came from a highly dysfunctional family and tried to spend as much time away from them as possible. In 3rd grade, 9 to 10 years old, I met a set of twins that would become lifelong friends and their family a second to my own. At the head of their family was their grandfather. He was an extremely rough around the edges, no bull giving or taken, my way or the highway kinda guy, and the fact he was half Mexican and half Mescalero Apache didn't help. Every one of us boys at the house was scared of him and no one wanted to go out of town with him to work. When I was 21, I ended up helping him on a job outside of Fort Worth and during this time we bonded. I called him Pop and he called me son. A couple of months after we started the Fort Worth job, Pop received a call that his aunt had passed away. We stayed up having a few drinks and he told me stories about her till the rooster crowed. He described her to me in the same manner that us boys would describe him to others. Now this woman would drink a fifth of bourbon and smoke 5 cigars every day till the day she passed away, but she made it to nearly 100 before she croaked. During the last 20 or so years of her life, the majority of her family had absolutely nothing to do with her, with the exception of one grandson. She had also amassed a nice little spread outside of Waco, having a 100-plus acre ranch, a large farmhouse and a 7-figure bank account. Pop decided that we should attend the interment. A few days later, we found ourselves in a small interment parlor in the craptastic town of Waco. The interment was going as all interments go, with some people sobbing, others binge drinking and most of the kids looking bored as duck. As Pop and I are sitting quietly, minding our own, we hear this increasingly louder conversation behind us. Enter the cast. EM, grandson's mom EF1, 2 and 3, entitled family. Most likely the other daughter's GG. The good grandson EF1, really? Everything? What do you mean, everything? EM, that's what the lawyer said. EF2, she can't do this to us. Can she? EF3, there has got to be something that we can do about this. It's his fault she passed away. If he hadn't have provided her with whiskey and cigars all those years she would still be alive. EM, don't worry. He's my son and will do whatever I say. We'll sell everything and split it evenly between just the four of us. It was at this point Pops caught on to what was being discussed, as I'm sure everyone else around had, and he, being a man not to hold his tongue, lost it. It went something like this. "Y'all need to shut y'all's a." He loved to say that. "This woman lived to be nearly 100 years old and you're going to try and say he crushed her. Over what? Money? If you cared so much about her, where were y'all the last 20 years of her life?" He didn't do it for the money, he did it because it was his grandma and it was the right thing to do. Before M&Fs could regain their composure, Gigi came up, looked his mom in the eye and said, "Goodbye, Mom. This is the last time any of y'all will see me again," and simply walked out the door. The last I heard about any of it, Gigi was enjoying his life out on the ranch and refused to have any contact with his immediate family. I spent about another 6 months traveling with Pops, working construction and learning brickwork. He passed about 7 to 8 years back. I miss that man. Even if no one reads this, it felt really nice to talk about Pop.